Hello, everyone. It is Thriving Thursday. We're just going to wait for a couple of people to come in. I'm so excited that you will decide to join me. I am just excited about it. I hope your week has been well, and I hope that you are feeling okay. This weather has got me under the weather, but I still am thriving through through my life. And so my name is Shondala Rogers, and I am the founder of Destined to Overcome. It is a support group for women who have decided to want to be empowered by learning strategies of ways to overcome life obstacles. And tonight, Thriving Thursdays is just a extension of Destined to Overcome, a way that we can connect, especially because of COVID. Hey, Pam, especially because we can't see each other face to face, and it's just a good way to connect. So I have a topic that I think people want to talk about, but may be nervous to talk about, or may not want to bring up certain things. And tonight we will be talking about grief. Yeah, grief. Now, you may see me do this throughout the night or throughout the live because I am a bit under weather. However, I also know that it is important to be diligent to do what God has called me to do. So tonight, our topic will be about grief. And so we're going to talk about what does God say about grief and mourning. We're going to discuss the stages of grief. And then we're going to discuss some ways that you personally can, I won't say overcome grief. Hi, hey, BFF. Hey, Nicole. I won't say overcome grief because everyone has their own way of grieving and their own timetable of grieving, but I will give some suggestions, some strategies, some things that we all um, may do. And when people think of grieving, they only think of a loss of a loved one, but that's not necessarily true. We You can have a loss of a job, a loss of normalcy, as we have seen this during COVID-19. You can have a loss of a relationship or marriage. You can have a loss of a loved one. Grieving it can is not just about when you lose a loved one. But losing a loved one is the way that some people remind themselves about grieving. No, you learn how to cope. Absolutely, Nicole. You learn how to cope. You never get over it. It's not something you get over, but you learn how to cope with it. I will say this. I can tell you the month, the day that I lost my daughter 26 years ago. It was in January 16th, 1994. Uh, and my sister was there, my mom was there, and my now ex-husband was there. And it was devastating. Have I learned to cope? Yes. Do I remember that like it was yesterday? Yes. I can close my eyes and remember the sounds, the smell, what people were doing, all that. But have I learned to cope with it? Yes. Have I learned to help others? Yes. And so tonight we're just going to talk about grieving, and we're just going to talk about some ways and some things and some strategies and places that you can go if you need further help. during this FB Live. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. And if you know anyone that would love to hear this or needs to hear this, you can share, you can push like and then share it, and then, someone else could hear it. So let's talk about grief for just a moment. What is grief? Grief is a strong emotion. It's an overwhelming emotion for people. And it stems from sadness. It stems from sadness. It's a loss of a loved one or a sense of loss of something, um, something in your life that you know, accustomed to having. Your job, your parents, um, normalcy. Again, like I said, this COVID-19 has taken us for a loop, because I do mourn the loss of normalcy. Walking around without a mask, or just being able to go where I want to go and not worry about if I'm going to be infected or if I'm going to affect someone. That takes a toll on your mental stability. And so that's one thing that we're going to definitely discuss tonight, about the toll that it takes on your mental stability, and how grieving, if you don't deal with it, if you don't get help with it, if you don't um, seek a strategic way of coping with it, it turns into depression, which turns into um, poor mental health. And so we don't want that to happen. Someone may need to be on here that may need to hear it. So we're going to go ahead and talk about it. I'm going to talk about something very personal to me. In 2012, I lost a part of normalcy when I had a blood clot in my right lung. It left me with scar tissue. It left me with using a oxygen machine. I grieved the old Chandela, the one that can pop and bop and go and dance and move. I did grieve her. I grieved her. I went from the stages. I went from denial, where I wasn't wearing the oxygen at all when I was supposed to. I was angry. I started bargaining. Um, I was depressed. And then I had to get to a point where I accepted it. And when not only did I accept it, I learned that God gave me that so that um, so that I will be able to use it to help other people. Now, does that mean you always going to be able to use your grief to help other people? No, you probably be able to understand it, understand someone's loss. I can't tell you how it feels to lose a parent, because I have not lost my mom. Can't tell you that. Some people on here that's on here now, they can tell you how it feels to lose a loved one, to lose a parent, because they've lost that. I can, however, tell you how it is to lose some normalcy, how it is to lose yourself in a relationship, and you grieve losing yourself. I can definitely tell you how it is to grieve a divorce, marriage, because I've been married 3 times. I can definitely tell you that. Um, I can tell you how it is to grieve when you feel like you don't want to be different, but you know that you have been diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and you don't think different. You don't react. I mean, you don't think like everyone else. You don't react to things like everyone else, and you feel like people don't understand you. I can talk about that. So tonight we're going to talk about grieving. One thing I want you to know is grief is a natural response to a loss. It's a natural response. It is not foreign to be sad, immensely sad, when you have lost something in your life. It's a natural occurrence. Grieving is also personal. Please don't let anyone tell you that, oh, you should be grieving like this. And girl, hey, Alicia, girl, it's been 4 months and 5 months and 7 years and 20 years. So you should grieve this way. That's no one's problem. That's no one's issue. It's your personal journey with grieving. It's personal. It's personal. It's individual. So I think that that's one thing that I want you to get out of this. Now, you know I'm a teacher, so you know what I'm going to say. I hope you have some sticky notes with you. I hope you have a notebook or a pen with you and just something to write down something. I might say something that you may want to remember. So it's a process. Grieving is a process. That means it has it may take a while. It may take a longer while. It may not ever end. It's a process. And so you don't have to explain your grieving process to anyone. You don't have to explain the way you grieve, why you grieve, and how you grieve to anyone. It is your own personal experience. And I'm here to tell you tonight that if anybody has tried to shame you, if anybody has tried to make you feel less than, or anybody has to tell you, oh, you ain't got enough faith because you still sad about your mom, or you still sad about that marriage, or you still sad about, the devil is a lie. I said it and I meant it. The devil is a lie. God loves you. He has his own process for you to go through. And it is about you. It's not about everyone else. So let's take the real religiosity, I call it, out of it and understand that you are a person, that you may have your own issue and time and process to go through it. And thank God that he loves us individually and he's given us that. Tonight we're talking about grief. Tonight we're talking about the loss of a job, the loss of a loved one, the loss of a relationship, grieving, and how to grieve and the stages of grieving. So let's talk about it's 5 stages of grieving. And this is maybe where you want to share this video or like it and write some things down. The 5 stages of grieving are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. The 5 stages of grief are are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. But guess what? I told you that it's an individual thing. So some people may not go through all 5 stages. Some people may not come, some people may skip some stages. Some people may start at the bottom or start at a different point in their grieving process. So please don't let anyone tell you that. It is not a specific way that you have to go through your grieving process. It is your grieving process. I continue to hear that because somebody needs to hear that tonight. That is your grieving process. It's not your friends, it's not your sisters, it's not somebody else's, it's not your cousins, it's yours. Your process is yours. And whichever way that you do it, that's it. And I want you to feel comfortable with that. And I want you to know that there's no shame and no condemnation in those who are in Christ Jesus. So what does God say about grieving? He says he loves you. The Lord is with the brokenhearted. The Lord is with the contrite spirit. He's with those. He mourns with you. Jesus wept. So if Jesus wept, we know we're going to weep. And so remember that. So we have the 5 stages. And as we talk about the 5 stages, I'm going to talk about what it looks like in those 5 stages. And maybe you'll be able to relate to some of them. So during denial is just, you kind of push things to the side. You try to hide your feelings. Denying gives you time to process what's going on. Denying says this: oh, I know she'll be okay. Oh, I know that I'm going to wait about that, going to that doctor to see the specialist about this illness or this cancer, because I know that that's not really what's going on. Yeah. Denial. Oh, I lost my job because, you know, they were horrible bosses. Denial. Yeah. But denial gives you time to process the loss. It's not good, bad, or indifferent. It just gives you time to process the loss. Also, anger. Now I'm gonna tell you something about anger. Anger is the second stage, but anger masks itself in so many different ways. That anger can come up also when you are depressed. Anger has a way. People, I used to think that when you were depressed that you cried all the time until I truly learned about depression. And I learned that I was angry, so my anger would mask my depression. Just as anger can mask or be a part of your grieving process. You're angry. It makes you resentful and bitter over the loss of your marriage, over the loss of the job, over your loss of your loved one, because you pissed. And it might say something like this: they were horrible bosses. I hope they fail. Losing a loved one. She should have took better care of herself. You pissed now. I don't know what she was thinking about getting that operation. I don't know what she was thinking when I don't know what he was thinking when he said he wanted to go to the doctor and he waited too long. I'm pissed because then you start thinking, I'm angry. How dare them leave me? How dare they leave me? How dare they leave me? So that anger, that second stage, that anger comes up, and anger will hurt you if you do not deal with anger, especially when you're grieving. Now, again, the grieving process is individual and it's your own process. It does not mean that you will go through the anger. It does not mean that you're going to go through every stage that I'm discussing, but it can happen. So this is the one that gets me. That bargaining. The third stage, bargaining. I'm gonna bargain, and I'm gonna tell you this. For me, I said with the Lord, I said, Lord, um, I promise you, if you give me back my lungs and take the scar tissue away, and I don't have to, I promise you, I won't be wild. I'm not gonna go out here kicking. I'm gonna treat your body good. Bargaining. Another thing, you begin to say things like, what if she decided to take the chemotherapy and not do natural healing components? What if she went to take dialysis and not ignore what the doctor said? You begin to bargain with yourself, and you use what if or if only statements. What if or if only statements. It also, with bargaining gives you a set of control, gives you some control. You feel like I can control how I respond to my grief. Bargaining says, well, God, if only you would have let her stay here a little longer. God, if only he would have not cheated, I could have figured out what was going on and fixed our marriage. See, bargaining, when you making deals and promises with God or with your higher power, trying to figure out how you can control your response. Yeah, that's bargaining. That's the stage of bargaining. So you have denial, anger, bargaining. The fourth stage, depression. Depression comes out, so a lot of times when people lose, after the funeral, after everybody goes home, after the chicken is ate up and the pound cake is gone, after you've cleaned up the flowers, you're by yourself and you begin to isolate and you begin to think about that person and think about what you're going through and think about being hurt. And you begin to you isolate. You say, "Oh, right now I just don't feel like being bothered. And you say that every day. Right now, I just don't feel like being talked. I want to talk to anybody. Um, but the difference between depression and just a natural point of grieving is depression, you feel like you can't go on. You feel like at a point of no return. Grieving is natural, but when you get into that depressive stage where you can't think, you can't do typical normal things that you've done, you just feel like you cannot go on. That's when it's important to seek some help. Now, I've talked to several people, and I've talked to people that got angry with me when I mentioned about getting help with grieving. And they got angry and they told me I don't need no help. I'm sorry, God, I'm not, my eyes watering. And so they were angry about that. But I still have to do what thus says the Lord, and still have to bring forth what God has told me to do. And so depression, that stage can be detrimental to your natural healing process. It could stop it. It could stop it. And you find yourself stuck, foggy, confused. Yeah, this is all about grieving. And especially if you feel like the person that you've lost, or the marriage that you lost, or the job that you lost, you weren't able to do all that you wanted to do. But I'm here to tell you that it is your process. If you need further help, the help is available. Not just prayer, but also true help. I'm going to tell you something right now. And right now is where I start. And right now is where I tell you it's the substance of, and it's called substance abuse and mental health services. It's a 1-800 number. And if someone can type that in, I'm going to give it to you. If someone can, hi Reginald, if someone can type that into the comment now, the national helpline, if you need help, if you are in a depressive state after among your grieving, or if you feel depressed or full of anxiety and loss of this normalcy, here is the number you can call: 1-800-662-HELP. 1-800-662-HELP, or 1-800-662-4357. That is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services nationally. You can call them and they will talk to you. They're open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Someone will talk to you and they will show you or give you resources of where to go to get the help. Now, I have to say that. I'm not saying that you're crazy. I'm not saying that I'm just telling you, giving you some resources. Because I don't want anyone to just stay stuck, especially when it comes to depression. I want you to know that you're out here, someone loves you, and you're not alone. And so that's a number that you can call. So we have depression. So we're on our fifth stage of grieving is acceptance. Now, a lot of people think this is the happy-go-lucky stage. It is not. Acceptance is not the happy, uplifting stage of grief. It's not. It is not. It just you begin to know that there are better days coming. You begin to know that, okay, I'm not always going to feel like this. And like Nicole said up above, that you begin to have coping strategies to your everyday life. It does not mean it is over. It does not mean that you're not going to cry. It does not mean that you're not going to be sad. It just truly means that you've learned to accept that there's some type of loss in your life. That's what it means. So, Chandela, you say, okay, I feel like this. I'm going through this. You've described the stages. I might be in one of those stages right now, but what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Now, these are some things that you may want to do. and I'm going to give them to you. You can write them down. You can put them in the chat. You can do. Thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you so much, Tracy. Um, and so let's talk about this things. And I have notes. So if I'm looking, it means I have a little notes. I'm just going to look away and look back. I can do that. I'm a good teacher. I can look away and look back. So um, grieve your way. I talked about that. One thing, one strategy in grieving is grieve your way. Your way is not everybody else's way. Your way is your way. You don't have to explain it to anyone. You don't have to down. You don't have to downplay it. Your way of grieving is your way of grieving. Number two, understand that grief takes time. Grief takes time. Grief takes time. Someone put that in the chat. Grief takes time. Grieve in your own way, and grief takes time because it does. Grief takes time. Express how you feel to someone. Don't hold it all in because when you hold it all in, something can happen to your body. And your body, I read this, your body can definitely, you can get sick, and you can actually get sick where your blood pressure rises, where you have your immune system is not as strong, and you're vulnerable to infections and sickness when you hold everything inside. So you should talk to someone. So the first thing is grieve your own way. The second way is understand that grief takes time. The third thing you can do, express how you feel to someone. Honor your loss. It's someone on here that I love dearly. Nicole honored the loss of her mom through a co-author of a book. And it's a book about the relationships between daughters and their mothers. And it's called Love's Pendulum. And so she honored her mom by writing something beautiful about her mom. And so you can honor the person that you lost. Honor them with a journal, create memories, write letters to them. That's part of the grieving process too. Write a letter to them. Whatever feels meaningful for you, whatever you think would be meaningful, a meaningful way of honoring them, do that. Your way of honoring your loved one, or your marriage, or your job is not like everybody else. The loss of something. This is another big one. Don't be surprised if you're triggered by different events. It will be difficult at events, family events, holidays, things of that nature, get togethers, because that loved one will not be there. So don't be surprised if you're sad, and if you cry, and if you feel like, that you just can't get it together. It's okay. It's natural to grieve. And it's okay. Difficult events will trigger some emotions, and that's okay. Pendulum of a mother's love. Did I say it right? Thank you, Nicole. Also, take one step at a time. Take one step at a time. So we went through some ways that can help you as you go through your grieving process. Yes, I'm going to repeat them. Grieve your own way. Understand that grief takes time. Express how you feel to someone, because that's important. Honor your loss in any way that you need to. Honor him or her or the baby, however you lost, honor them. Be prepared for difficult events, and then take one step at a time. Another way is to look after yourself. Please take care of yourself, your physical self, your mental health. Give yourself time to feel the pain, and know that you're not alone. Now, Since we've talked about that, and since I've given you some strategies, since I've told you that God loves you, you're not alone. He mourns with you. He cries with you. He wept. So we know that we can weep. Know that you are continuously loved by God. Know also that he left you here so that you have a work to do now. No, it's not easy, and sometimes you want it to go away and it hurts and it's painful, but I thank God that whoever has stayed on here to listen to this, that this may help someone. I really hope that this about grieving has helped someone. And so you may be someone on here that's like, well, I have some people that grieve and I don't even know what to say. You know, some people say the dumbest things. But I'm going to tell you something. They don't mean to say dumb stuff. They just don't know what to say. So if you're a person on here that has friends that have lost loved ones or have lost normalcy, like in this COVID, like all of us, that may be in a middle of a divorce or lost their job. It's some things you can say to them that will be helpful. Some things you can say to them. And these are some things you can say. Acknowledge the situation and let them know, I'm really sad to hear about that. Acknowledge the situation. Don't just ice it over like it doesn't mean anything. I'm sorry to hear about that. That's, that's easy to say. I'm sorry to hear about that. Those are some things, that's one thing you could say. Talk openly about their losses. Maybe they want to talk about it. Maybe they want you not to slide over the person's name, or if it's in the middle of divorce or marriage, maybe they want you to still talk about that person or whatever you all did during the marriage. Offer your support the way that you know how to offer it, not how somebody else will, but the way you genuinely can offer your support. Talk about everyday life too. Hey, well, what are you going to do today? You know, are you going to get up and maybe go outside, sit on the porch? Do you want to go for a walk? I mean, have you watched something funny? Talk to them. They're not foreign. They're just going through a grieving period. So you have to know what to say. Hello, everyone that's come on. You have to know what to say to people. And sometimes people don't know what to say when people are grieving. So they come up with crazy stuff like, oh girl, time will heal all wounds. No, it doesn't. It does not. That sounds foolish to me sometimes. I know I'm getting out of pocket. But time doesn't always heal wounds. Time doesn't always heal losses. Time doesn't. It does not. Healing takes work, and healing is part of the process of grieving. So it's not going. Sometimes time does not heal the wounds. Sometimes that's just foolish to say. I'm sorry. I got off my notes. I apologize. Um, Ask them how they're feeling. How are they feeling today? You know, let them talk, let them vent, let them just have their moment. You don't have to be the center. Because are you there to help them? Are you there because you're trying to soothe your own situation? Yeah, I did. I digressed from my notes. I'm sorry. Avoid statements that are intended to comfort, like, you know, tell them that they should be thankful for stuff and, at some point they'll get over it. Stop saying all that foolishness. Right now, if they're going through a grieving process and they're sad and they're overwhelmed with immense emotion about grieving, they don't want to hear that they should be thankful. They don't. I know that sounds, even as Christians, they don't want to hear that. Right now, they're in pain. Acknowledge that. Tell them you're sorry. Ask them, is it something you can do? And then do it. Now, don't put your foot out there and say, oh, is it something you can do? And they say, well, yeah, can you know, go to the store? And you like, dang, I ain't know they was going to really ask me to do something. Mean what you say and say what you mean. Again, I'm digressing off my notes. But I'm just going by what I've heard, what I've seen, and what I've been a part of. So I told you all that I was under the weather, so I'll be wiping my little and using my hand sanitizer. So tonight is about grieving, and I hope that someone on here received a word, received a word that they may needed to hear about grieving, about what it is, the 5 stages, that it's personal, that it's not a timetable on it. As a person that may know somebody that's grieving, there is certain things you can say. And yeah, someone said, Camellia said, I never get over it. I move forward. It's really sad that people make insensitive comments when someone is grieving. And they do. And I think some people, they don't know that it's insensitive. They just, they try to find a way to be comfort themselves because they're in an awkward situation. But again, your grieving process is your grieving process. Thank you for sharing that. Now, someone said you don't move on, you move forward. You move forward. And I'm so thankful that people came on and that they were able to get something out of this. Again, there are 5 stages of grief, and you don't have to go through all those 5 stages. You don't have to go through them in order. There are 5 stages. They all look different at any stage for anyone. And also, you need to speak to someone if you are feeling like you cannot truly go on and you're totally depressed and you just stuck, cloudy, foggy. You need to speak to someone. That's important. Today, you can seek out. It's a number in the comment box. I was gonna say chat because I'm used to doing Zoom all day. In the comment area, there's a number that you can call. You can seek help. It's resources. You can inbox me. There's different books and workbooks that you can get, and I can tell you to invest in. How do you want to live the rest of your life? But it's a process, and it's your process. And I'm not here to tell you how to grieve. I'm just here to give you the stages and here to tell you that certain strategies you can use so that you can be in a better place mentally. And again, if you know anyone that would like this video or that may need to hear this, you can share it. You can send it to them. And I hope that they will get something out of this. Now, again, October is coming. October is my birthday month too. But October is coming, and I am planning on having a virtual workshop, a virtual destination workshop. I'm so excited. I'm also planning on, um, I'm sorry, starting a podcast and or YouTube channel. Don't know yet. Just trying to think. But I definitely want you to be looking out for the Zoom link or the Invite Bright. I will be putting it on my page. I will be putting it on Destined to Overcome page. I will be adding it to different groups. If you want to be a part of the Destined to Overcome Thriving virtual workshop. I know I'm going slow. So look out for that in October because October is coming soon. And I want you to know that there's nothing too big for God, nothing too small for God. He wants the best for you. He has kept you this far for a time such as this. You are more than a conqueror. You are an overcomer. You are destined to overcome. Before you even woven in your mother's womb, he knew who you were going to be. And so no matter if you're in a state of despair or in a state of excitement or in a unsure state of what's going on, no matter if you have a mate that you were looking for or you're single, no matter if your marriage may not be working out, but you're working towards a better marriage, no matter what is going on in your life, COVID, all this, God is still in control and you are still loved by the Most High. You are a daughter or a son of the Most High, and He loves you without a doubt. Please remember that again, I am Shonda Rogers. I am the founder of Destined to Overcome. It is a support group for women who would like to overcome life's obstacles by learning strategies to empower themselves. And this is Thriving Thursdays, where we are no longer surviving through our lives. We are thriving. We are the best that we can be. No matter what is going on, we will thrive. We will make it. You are powerful. You are amazing. You are beautiful. And I cannot wait to connect with you during our virtual workshop very soon. Look for the Invite and I will be on, Lord willing, next Thursday at 8 o'clock. If you need any help or someone needs help, they can also inbox me on Facebook. I also have a Instagram at Destined to Overcome or at Bold and Beautiful 2468 on Instagram. So, good night. Have a wonderful weekend. And remember, you are destined to overcome. Good night.